Hi everyone, wanted to touch base with you guys and keep you up to date on how we're doing pleats for masks. In the first video, which was a huge success called the 15-minute mask, we used a simple method of just pinching the fabric up to match a 3.5-inch casing. And some of you wanted to know a little bit more in-depth mathematics about how we actually get perfect pleats for our mask. So tonight I'm going to show you how to make a template, and this will be your guide to getting perfect pleats every time. Enjoy the video. So let's get started making our template for our perfect pleats. Do not use less than an 8x10 sheet of cardstock. This is just flexible cardstock. It's not too heavy. It's just the perfect weight to make the template. I personally happen to have a 12x12 on hand, so that's what I'm using, but I suggest that you not go lower in size than an 8x10. The first thing that you're going to do is using a quilter's ruler, or one that you can see through, is I'm going to line up 1 1/8 inches against the bottom edge of the paper. And I'm going to draw a line. That's 1 1/8 inches. You can see there on my paper. And then I'm going to come up 5/8 of an inch, line up my lines, my markings on the ruler, 5/8 of an inch, and I'm going to mark. Now, when you mark, I'm using a ballpoint pen because I can actually press down harder without breaking the lead of a pencil. And what that does is it actually helps me to score that paper because we're going to bend that in just a little while. So, next is 1 1/8 inches. We're going to bear down, helping to score the paper. We're going to lift, go to 5/8 of an inch, make our mark, pressing down. Another 1 1/8 inches. This will be our third pleat. So 1 1/8 inches and 5/8 for the last line. Now, for those of you that joined us for our first video, the 15-minute mask, what we did is we sewed a tube together, and our finished tube was 7 1/4 inches. So that's why I'm using this ruler. If I turn it around, I'm going to use it so that I can measure off 7 1/4 inches. And what this does is it gives me exactly what I need for the mask that was shown in the video, the 15-minute mask. So I'm going to do this one at 7 1/4. I'm going to draw my line, make a mark, and now I am ready to start folding. Once it's been scored, it's very easy to bend this because it has a little bit of a score to it without actually cutting it. So I'm going to lay my ruler against that line, and I'm going to merely lift up and crease that on the line. I'm going to move to the next line. Whoops, make sure you get it straight. I'm going to lift up on that line. I'm going to lift the paper up, and I'm just merely running my finger down the line so that I am bending that paper on the line. Again, next line, which is the 5/8 inch line, lift up, fold your fabric, or bend the paper, bend the paper on the next line, and the next one, and then you can either cut the 7 1/4 line off, or you can leave it just for handling your fabric. I think for the purpose of the video that I'm actually going to cut, and what I want you to do is not use your good brand new rotary blade, but if you have a cutter that has a dull blade in it, it's kind of like your scissors. Cut the excess away, and you can see that I now have 1, 2, 3 pleats, and then my header. I'm ready to bend and fold. So the first one is going to, the first fold that I want to do is the second line from the bottom. And then I'm going to fold back against the first line. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to bend, and you see how easily this cardstock bends. I'm going to fold that, and then I'm going to pull it down, and you see how I'm building my pleats. Here again, this is the 1¼ inch. I'm going to fold, and I'm going to bend back. So now I have my perfect template for getting my pleats exactly like I want them. Let's get some fabric and show you how to fold within this template. So now we're back, and I've changed things over so that I have my wool pressing mat that I'm going to use in order to press these pleats in place once I get them in our template. You'll notice that this, I'm going to hold this up just briefly, is a 3/4 inch wool pressing mat. I created the pressing mat about 10 years ago, and I have absolutely loved sharing it with anybody who's willing to listen to me. You get a better press no matter what it is you're working on, whether it's embroideries, masks, 1/4 inch seams, quilting, you name it, you're going to get a better press. But for this, we're going to be doing the rest of our face mask with the pleats. So you notice that from here to here, I can tell you is 7¼ inch. That's what we started out our template with. I'm going to pull this down a little bit so you can see better. And I'm going to line the edge of my fold up with the edge of that template. I'm going to take the spare piece that I cut off, and I'm going to wiggle that down into that fold of the template. I'm going to bring this down, and I'm going to do the same thing again, except this time I'm just going to use my fingers to press it. I'm going to pull that down, and I'm going to do the next one. And you can see that I have my pleats pushed into my template. I'm going to take the iron, and I'm going to iron that into place. And I'm sorry if there's any steam coming up on the camera, but I do love to use a steam iron. And once I have those pressed into place, then all I have to do is slide the template out. And you can see how beautiful these pleats are and how wonderfully they fit against my casings. Now, the nice thing about material is that it's malleable, meaning it has some forgiving qualities to it. If you didn't cut your 3½ inch casings exactly right, then do you see how I just merely pulled down on this and I was able to shrink it a little bit? If they're too long, then you can merely push up on it. But the key is to get it to the 3½ that you used for your casings. And there we have our perfectly pressed pleats using our homemade DIY cardstock pleat template. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope this makes you enjoy doing pleating. Make sure that you subscribe to our channel because we're going to have lots of YouTube videos coming out on everything from quilting and sewing to any requests that you guys have. But we'll continue to do our tutorials as long as you guys are enjoying what you're getting.